Force of the Breaker was released on May 16, 2007. While this set was known for the release of the Volcanic and Crystal Beast archetypes, neither one of these archetypes would shake up the current competitive climate. There was one card, however, that would whirlwind its way into many decks as a staple for years to come, and even dethroning some of its brethren in the process, and that card was Rise of the Storm Monarch. In this series, both MBT and myself will be traversing the sands of Yu-Gi-Oh's history. Each episode will take a deep dive into Yu-Gi-Oh's past formats and unlock new strategies as new sets become available. Strap yourselves in because anything is possible. Welcome to the history of Yu-Gi-Oh!
I am so sorry, and I hope you all can forgive me for normal summoning a Senju of the 1,000 Hands and switching it to defense in the same turn. I have betrayed Alex's trust, I have betrayed your trust, and most importantly, I have betrayed the trust of Demise, King of Armageddon. Okay, now that that's over, let's figure out how we're gonna scam Alex out of another week of the history of Yu-Gi-Oh! So, it's about May of 2007. Around this time, Force of the Breaker is released, which includes two really notable archetypes among Yu-Gi-Oh! Twitter posters. I'm talking about exactly Volcanic and Crystal Beast, two fan-favorite archetypes that had pretty much zero competitive success. Now, more importantly, in Force of the Breaker, a singular card is released, Reza the Storm Monarch, with massive implications. Now, though this set is released in May, there are no tournaments until June, and in June there are pretty much in order, the UK Nationals, SJ Minneapolis, the Canadian Nationals, and the US Nationals. So going into every single Western National, there's one card on people's minds, and it's a Monarch. As a result, this is the Monarch Year of Nats, the Age of the Monarchs, as you will, and the last Age of the Monarchs until 2016 if we have our way. Basically, every single deck that was worth playing was jamming as many Monarchs as possible. In fact, the list that got second place at US Nationals was called 13 Gauge Monarch because it was playing 13 cards with the Monarch title. Additionally, it was playing 2 Cyber Dragons and a Jinzo for 16 total tribute summonable monsters. These were incredible. Now, notable in this format are the bones of two really strong decks. Machine Aggro later becomes Troop Dupe Scoop, a deck that I'm pretty sure everyone here has heard of, that makes use of machine duplication alongside Card Trooper to mill a bunch of cards off the top of their deck the first turn, and Perfect Circle, a Destiny Hero Disc Commander deck that aims to use its effect multiple times in one turn in order to draw a ton of cards. Neither of these decks are fully realized at this point. No one really had them figured out for this Nationals tournament, and I will be re-rolling if we get them because I think in the next episode we may be doing an episode similar to how we did previously where I play one of these two and Alex plays the other. They became so commonplace, so ubiquitous, that it was shocking to see anything else. At this Nationals, however, there was a lot of anything else. While most of these decks are playing Monarchs in some capacity, Trooper Monarch, Destiny Monarch, Monarch, and Perfect Circle are all chock full of Rezas, if the best 4 or 5 decks are all trying to do the same thing, tribute summon a monster and then activate its effect, it actually becomes really easy to play around that. In fact, most of these other lists, Gadget, Ratbox, DDT, Six Sam, are all playing things like 3 Pulling the Rug to get out under what is clearly the best deck in the format. I'll be rolling for one of these options because they're not particularly powerful and most of them don't get another day in the sun. Keep in mind that despite the fact that Monarchs were the clear best deck, there was a lot of variance in what types of builds were played at these national tournaments and at SJ Minneapolis. So I'll aim to give you just a quick overview of each of these decks. I'm sure that Alex will go a little more in depth. Machine Aggro is the bones of Troop Dupe Scoop. We will see it realized in the next episode. Gadget actually won the Canadian National Tournament. It is still the advantage engine that we all know and love. Rat Toolbox, despite the naysayers, is a real deck that got tops during this format. It is no longer playing Injection Fairy Lily, which is, I mean, thank God for that, but it's still around. Burn is a constant presence in the metagame. There's a lot of really powerful stall tools alongside Lava Golem. DDT is around in some capacity, though the June 2007 list, which was mostly made to curb the oversight of Green Baboon Defender of the Forest, did also limit magical stone excavation, so those lists look much different now than they have in the past. Six Samurai gets its first couple of tops during this format, using Grandmaster the Six Samurai and Great Shogun Shien to close out games. That's the deck I've got my eye on. Trooper Monarch is Trooper Monarch. Destiny Hero Beatdown is Destiny Monarch, but without the Monarchs. Destiny Monarch is Destiny Monarch with the Monarchs. Monarch is Destiny Monarch without the Destiny. And Perfect Circle is Destiny Monarch, but actually good. So I'm aiming to roll one of these weird decks on the wheel. Six Samurai has caught my eye, of course. Gadget we don't see played again until about 2009, when Robbie Cole becomes the undisputed champion of red, yellow, and green that we know him as today. Burn, of course, would be fun to play, at least for me. And oh, I might even play some Monarchs if I have to. I've got a couple of spins, so let's just see what we land on. Well, you were all spared from a rat box deck again. I don't know. The Gadget deck that got first at the Canadian National Tournament is also sort of a macro stun list. I don't know how much people want to see that. Let's keep rolling. I really don't want to waste this, right? So Machine Aggro is the precursor to Troop Dupe Scoop. It is certainly extremely powerful. It did very well at these tournaments, but it's going to really be realized in the next couple of months. What the hell? Let's do it.
I know what you're thinking. I know what you're thinking. How could I let Joseph, the dirty, cheating Joseph, get away with normal summoning a Senju, switching it to defense position to avoid Mirror Force and avoid getting blown out by it, so that way I could have won, been on a 2-win streak, and avoid being in the shirt of shame this week? To be fair, it was my fault too, because I didn't notice it. For those of you who don't know, this sometimes takes several hours for us to record these matches because of all the stuff going on in the background. And one turn takes a lot longer than it may seem in post-editing, and so sometimes we just forget these things, but it's accepted game state. It is what it is, and here we are in the shirt of shame. But I feel very good about this episode because this is Force of the Breaker, the introduction of Ryza the Storm Monarch, and I'm so excited. Ryza is one of my favorite cards ever because Ryza is so crazy, and on the wheel today, we have, I believe, 11 different decks for us to choose from. This is around June of 2007. Force of the Breaker came out in May, and now we're starting to see so many different decks top around this time. This was all around the time of the US National, the Canadian National, the UK National. There was also an SJC around this time as well. So we've got a lot to pick from here. Starting off, we have a bunch of different Monarch variants. Trooper Monarch, Destiny Monarch, we have regular Monarch, we have Perfect Circle. You're going to probably see this deck a lot, so I'm probably going to avoid spinning this. We also have Destiny Hero Beatdown, which I played in the previous episode, so I'm probably going to try to stay away from that as well so we can show a little bit more variety. Machine Aggro is back once again. This is the early iteration of Troop Dupe Scoop. A lot of these Machine Aggro decks are playing multiple copies of Card Trooper and max copies of Machine Duplication, and I believe in the next episode you're probably going to see a lot of decks, if not every deck, playing that because people started to realize that that was the wave. We also have Gadget here. We have seen Joseph play Gadget before. It was still topping. I believe it actually won one of these national tournaments. Rat Toolbox is on here again. I'm not going to spin it because that deck did a piss poor job last time, so I do not have any faith in it. Joseph will probably go for it though. Burn does make an appearance. There were a couple of Burn decks that did top around this time, and I guess neither of us have technically played Burn, so maybe, I don't know, I'm not really feeling it. We also have DDT, which we haven't technically played the new DDT, but we did play Airblade, which is very similar, and then Six Samurai. There is one Six Samurai list that did top around this time. It's not the synchro crazy one with Gateway that you might be thinking. It's more streamlined with the old school support, but I kind of dig it. This deck looks like a ton of fun, and honestly, I think this would be a good way to showcase a deck that we haven't shown before because we're getting to the point around this time where we've almost played every single deck on here, even though there's a 11 different decks to choose from. So let's go ahead and give the wheel a spin. I am only going to get 2 spins because I did lose the last episode, even though I really didn't. So let's see what we get for the first spin. I'm doing it. I'm doing it. I'm going for it. I don't care. I'm doing it.
So here it is. Matt Peddle's 2007 Card Trooper aggro deck. Now, this is the deck that would eventually become Troop Dupe Scoop, the deck that is well known among everyone who's watched the Cross Ban List Cup. But at the time, it hadn't really been solved yet, and that's why you see a lot of really powerful cards from previous formats in this list, including my personal favorite card that is still at 3 for some reason, Trap Dust Shoot. Now, Metagame.com did analysis and coverage of this event, as per usual. Jason Graber-Mayer, and I'm sorry if I'm saying this name wrong, I've only ever seen it written, actually wrote a midday update that concluded this event was supposed to go a completely different way than it did. First of all, an individual named Yannick Dubois, who is famous in the Canadian scene, had brought Cyberdarks, a deck that had served him well at SJ Montreal. It did not do well here. Secondly, Six Samurai was everywhere. Everyone was playing Great Shogun Shien and Grandmaster. And of course, they all bottomed out. In the top 8, there weren't really very many copies of any of those cards. People were also trying to revitalize the Demise OTK deck with pretty much no success. And as a result, you saw stuff like this in the top cut. Finally, a Yu-Gi-Oh! Team called Super Friends had collected at this tournament 3 Crush Card Viruses. Now, at the time, Crush Card Virus was a prize card, not released to the general public and worth thousands of dollars, and they had 3 of them. They divided them among their members, and one of them ended up in the deck of Dale Bolito, who Matt Peddle played in quarterfinals. Jeff Jones has the breakdown, and it is a really stellar match. It's absolutely insane just how powerful Card Trooper is in these games specifically. In fact, in Game 2, Matt looks at a Card Trooper on field and starts doing mental math and says out loud, "How much damage can I do this turn?" To which his opponent says, "You have got to be kidding me," just to eat a machine duplication and 7,100 points of damage in a single turn. I'm really excited to rep this deck. I hope I can do Matt proud, and I hope I can finish around where he did, which is good enough to take home a little bit of prizing. So we've got 3 copies of Card Trooper, an incredibly powerful card, a machine monster with under 500 attack, synergizes extremely well with machine duplication, but because it wasn't absolutely proven, we were still only on 2 copies of it. 3 Cyber Dragon, 3 Cyber Phoenix, you all know these 2 cards are extremely powerful. 3 Dekoichis, same deal. 1 Jinzo. You know what card is pretty good against Crush Card Virus? This one. We've got 2 copies of Mystic Tomato, which search a Sandcan, and also a Snipe Hunter if you so desire, as well as a Spirit Reaper. For spells, we've got double Brain Control. We've only got a couple of Tribute Summonable monsters, but in a pinch, it's a removal spell with a Cyber Dragon. Confiscation, Heavy Storm, Limiter Removal, Double Machine Duplication, Mystical Space Typhoon, Nobleman of Crossout, Pot of Avarice. This is really, really good in decks with Card Trooper. I really don't like it otherwise, just because you have such a hard time filling up your graveyard, but Troop does such an excellent job of doing it so early. Premature Burial, Scapegoat, Snatch Steal, Call of the Haunted, Mirror Force, Ring of Destruction, Double Sack, 1 Torrential, and triple Trap Dust Shoot. Now, I spoke earlier about how pretty much everyone at this time was labbing Narc, and you can see that represented in the side deck. We've got double DD Crow for shenanigans, triple Gravekeeper's Spy. This matches up really well against opposing Card Troopers. Mobius the Frost Monarch, another Snipe Hunter, 2 Thestalos. Hey, if you can't beat them, you can always board into them. A copy of Book of Moon, a Mind Crush, double Pulling the Rug, a card that might as well read negate target Monarch, and 2 Royal Decree to board out all of your traps and just play a really molasses slow control deck so you don't get sacked by Return from the Different Dimension, which was responsible for much sacking at this tournament. So, excited to play this deck, hopeful, and very proud to finally be repping this.
You can't say that this deck doesn't look like an absolute blast. I am so excited to be able to bring Six Samurai to you guys for the first time in the history of Yu-Gi-Oh! Joseph, I swear to fucking God, if you spun this as well and we're about to have a mirror match, I will never forgive you. But this is the deck we are bringing. This is Matthew Lai's top 8 list from the Canadian National in June of 2007. This is bare bones, old school Six Sam. So we're going to walk you guys through the card by card here, but I am so hyped for this. this is going to be a blast. So 3 Cyber Dragon, it's like a mainstay of the format, 1 Exiled Force for removal. We are playing Rhoda, so we can access this very easily, and we are also playing the Warrior Returning Alive since we have such a heavy focus on Warrior monsters, so we can actually reuse 1 Exiled Force multiple times in a game, so 1 is really all we need. And then we get to the 6 Sam cards. 3 copies of Grandmaster of the 6 Samurai. If you've never seen this before, it has an ability to special summon itself out to the field if a 6 Samurai monster is already out, so that's pretty good. And then if this card in our possession is destroyed by an opponent's card effect, we can target a 6 Samurai monster in our graveyard, add that target to our hand. So if this gets cleared by like a Smashing Ground or anything like that that would actually just take care of him, we actually get a resource back from the graveyard. So this is great for swarming. This is an aggro deck. We could actually very easily OTK if we get a handful of 6 Sams such as Grandmaster and Shien, the next card in the list. That's what we're going to be aiming to do, but Shien can also put a lock on the game as well. Great Shogun Shien, 2500 attack. If you control 2 or more face-up 6 Samurai monsters, you can special summon this card. Your opponent can only activate 1 spell or trap card each turn, and if this card would be destroyed, you can destroy a face-up 6 Samurai monster you control instead. Great Shogun Shien is a very annoying card to deal with, and it's one of the reasons why 6 Samurai was so strong during this time. We have a Morphing Jar just to be able to get us into more cards. We are playing an aggro deck of sorts, so if we just completely blow our load and it doesn't work, Morphing Jar can refuel us. 3 copies of Iro, so all the 6 Samurai monsters, if you've never seen them before, have an ability if there is another 6 Samurai monster on the field with a different name. Iro has the ability to just destroy a face-down defense position monster at the start of the damage step, so that way it's able to almost be like a Sasuke Samurai or Mystic Swordsman level 2 of sorts. Kaman is able to destroy face-up spells and traps. Yaichi can destroy face-down spells and traps, and then Zenji has the ability that at the end of the damage step, if this card attacked, you can destroy the card that this card attacked. So this is good for getting over big cards or just anything annoying. They're also all searchable because they're all warriors, so we're playing Reinforcing the Army, we're playing Warrior Returning Alive. What's also cool is that all the 6 Samurai monsters have a secondary ability that if they would be destroyed and you control another 6 Samurai, you can destroy another 6 Samurai in its place. So it's almost similar to something like Great Shogun Shien's second effect, so that way they're able to keep the best one on the field. For the spells, Book of Moon, Heavy Storm, Mystical Space Typhoon, Premature Burial, 3 copies of Reasoning. Good luck calling the right number with this because there's a lot of choices here. There's 5s in Cyber Dragon and Grandmaster of the 6 Samurai. You've got a 7 in Great Shogun Shien, which is just a house. Yaichi and Kaman are 3s. Iro and Zenji are 4s. Even Exiled Force isn't a terrible hit either. And yeah, Reasoning's just pretty great. We also have some pretty great luck when we play this card as well. Just go ahead and watch the Reasoning Gate episode for that one. 2 Rhoda, 2 Smashing Ground, Snatch Steel, Swords of Revealing Light, and 2 copies of the Warrior Returning Alive. Then for the traps, Call the Haunted Mirror Force, 2 copies of Pulling the Rug. This is very specific to the time, but this is very strong against Monarch decks specifically. So if Joseph does spin a Monarch deck, Pulling the Rug is going to absolutely clean him up, especially being in the main deck. But if he's not on a Monarch deck, we can go ahead and side this out for games 2 and 3. And then wrapping up the traps, 1 Ring of Destruction and 3 copies of Sakuretsu Armor, just so we can maintain our board presence and try to hit in for as much damage as possible. The extra deck is a bunch of cards that do not matter, but I didn't want Joseph to think that we were playing this because this is just to throw him off a little bit. And then the side deck, 2 copies of Banisher of the Radiance as a tech against any of the graveyard-reliant decks, such as the Destiny Hero decks, 2 Des Wombat for the burn strategies, which are relevant at this time, 2 copies of Kaman, which is good for any sort of face-up spell shenanigans. Again, I think this might be primarily sorted for burn and stun strategies, 1 Mind Crush, 1 Pulling the Rug, 2 Royal Decree, 2 Trap Dust Shoot, and triple copies of Waboku for any of the OTK strategies. I am super excited to play this. 6 Samurai is one of my favorite archetypes, especially in its older form. A lot of people love the newer age 6 Sam, so I really can't wait to show off the older 6 Sam so people can see what the deck is all about. But that's going to do it for me, ladies and gentlemen. It's time to duel. Joseph, I think the Yu-Gi-Oh gods did not want this episode to come to fruition because as soon as you and I were about to film this 2 days ago, my internet in my entire neighborhood went out for about 8 hours, and through the magic of video editing, here we are, and no one will know the difference.
Hey, it's me, Joseph, wearing a different shirt. I just thought I would change in between. No,
Unfortunately, I'm wearing the same shirt. That's a pretty easy one for continuity.
For those at home, as soon as the power went out, Simo sent me a message that said, I think God wants me to not play this abomination of a deck. And I'm a little curious. What are you playing, buddy?
You'll find out. It'll all come together when you see probably the first or second card that I play.
Would you say that it's a crime against God?
It's arguably a crime against God. It depends on who you're asking, I think.
All right,
I think that's what it boils down to.
We'll go to The Hague and we'll let them decide. I'm playing a normal deck. Good. I don't know what's wrong with you.
We'll have to see how normal your deck is, and I think we should just get right into it then. Let's go ahead and shout out our patron. It is here for progression. You are here for the wrong series, my friend, but thank you so much for the support.
How did we roll into this guy? What the heck?
I don't know. I don't know how it happened, but, you know, I love when it does.
I better see a different name
next
week.
Buddy. I'm sorry, buddy. The rock, paper, scissors generator is just like my best friend. It's always coming up scissors. It's fantastic. We're going first.
We got to go back to the dice cam. I had a 90% dice cam win rate. Ooh.
You did. Your dice cam was pretty sweet. Good luck, though, buddy.
I'm pretty happy about this one. You take your turn. You see what happens.
Oh, God. I don't even... I kind of almost wish I went second with this hand. Tis an interesting one. Do I go for it?
Go for what? What, you got an FTK? What are you sitting on a mass driver over there?
Like I said, all will be known in due time, sir. All will be known in due time. Okay. I think I don't really like it, but I think I am just going to set 2 cards, and I think I'm going to pass it over.
That's not helpful. Set 2 cards means that the floodgates are down, except decks around this time are all playing garbage like Threatening Roar, so I guess I'll have to be a little more careful than I would like to. Oh, that's a weird draw. God, if I knew what you were on, I would feel a lot more comfortable doing something terrible. But because I don't, I'm going to set 3, and you are good to go.
Okay. I'll draw. You got anything for me?
Nope.
Okay. So I'm going to start by special summoning a Cyber Dragon.
Yeah, that's fine.
All right, next I'm going to fire, and this is probably going to give it away, Reasoning.
What the fuck? I'm going back to the wheel. What the hell was on the wheel?
Don't worry about it, Joe. Pick your number, Joseph. Pick your number.
All right, I guess let's walk through this. DDT maybe was on the wheel. What would I call in DDT? And would you be playing Sidra in it? 4 is pretty good. It gets Diamond Dude and it gets Stratos. 8, of course, wins you the game immediately, but the only thing you've got in the grave is the Reasoning, which I'm not really that burnt up about if you cycle. Yeah, I guess I'm gonna go for 4.
Okay, I think 4, regardless of what deck I'm playing, is a pretty safe pick. So we'll see if it pays off for you.
Ah! You son of a... Wait, there's no way this deck was playing Reasoning!
There's 100% chance that this deck was playing 3 Reasoning back in the day, and that just made me very sad.
How on earth is the 6 Samurai deck playing Reasoning? They're all 4s, right?
No, so the big ones are 4s, the little ones are 3s, and then you also play Grandmaster and Sidra, which are 5s. So there's actually quite a bit of diversity in the level selection.
Wait, can you summon Great Shogun Shion off this too?
Yes, that's also a 7.
So there's no winning on this card unless you're a gamer god like me.
Yeah, pretty much. Cool. And usually when I play Reasoning decks, I usually come out on top, and unfortunately that was one of the times it did not happen, but it is what it is. Oh, what do we want to do now?
I'm so happy you're playing this garbage. I'm so happy you're playing this garbage.
I'm going to hit into here. I told you it was a crime against humanity. It's a Dekoichi.
It's Dekoichi. Okay. I'm drawing my card. Could be anything.
Are you on machine aggro?
Could be anything.
I think that was like the only deck playing Dekoichi around this time. I think I'm just going to pass.
All right, I'll draw for turn. All right, K-Kona, brother. It's time for me to normal summon Card Trooper. You got that Memorial Day spirit, buddy? You looking at this bad boy?
Card Trooper is 100% fine.
Yeah, let's see how you feel when I activate the next card that I just ripped off the top of the deck. I'm talking about Machine Duplication, baby! Woo! What do you think?
Oh. Okay. This is very bad.
You okay with it?
Yeah, that's fine.
Woo!
That's fine.
All right, we're going to summon 2 Card Troopers from my deck, and I think you know what's happening next, buddy.
Is this where I scoop now? Because you've trooped, you've duped, so that would be next in sequence.
I mill the top 9 cards of my deck.
All right, let's hope they're all terrible. Wow, that actually kind of sucked.
pretty bad. There's not a lot of good mills, but the 1900s.
You did get a Sidra into your grave, though, which kind of sucks because that means Overload Fusion's live.
All right, let's see if this works. I'll snatch steal your Sidra.
Oh, God. Huh. Yeah, you can have him.
All right, do you want to draw me 3 cards off of your Mirror Force?
How am I going to get out of this? So what's funny is that this actually doesn't kill me.
It's not lethal. It's close, but it is not lethal.
If you have Limiter, which you're playing machine aggro, you could have Limiter and it's just game over immediately.
I do have Limiter. Is it in my hand?
Oh, God. Does this even matter? How do I finagle my way out of this one?
Card Trooper is just such an unbelievable card for a number of reasons. My favorite reason is, even if you were to Torrential after machine duplication, I draw 3. It's just
You just get it all back. Yeah, it's crazy. I'm trying to just figure out a way here that I could let all this go. And if you don't have Limiter, I'm fine.
Oh, you're
if
fine.
You do have
you're fine
limiter,
at 300 life points.
I mean, I'm not dead. I'm not dead. It's not a great position, but I'm not dead.
What's the saying? The only life point that matters is the very last one.
I mean, that's usually how the saying goes. I'll take the 19.
All right. Well, I will get in with the remainder of the platoon. Let me try again with Card Trooper.
Okay, I will also take 19.
Hell, I'll do it one more time. Card Trooper, get in.
I'm going to ring this Card Trooper. Which is terrible. It's terrible, I know.
You're gonna ring
Don't
the Card
worry
Trooper.
about it. I have a plan. Don't worry about it.
We're both gonna take 19. And then I'm gonna draw a card? That's what you're saying?
You are going to draw a card. Yes, yes.
Alex, if I draw limiter removal, this is going to be the funniest shit in the universe. I hope you know.
Okay, at least you saying that makes me feel assured that you don't have it now.
Oh, if I had it, you would have seen it activated on this trooper. All right, here we go.
Well, you'd have activated it after I couldn't use ring anymore, to be fair.
That is an interesting one. Whoa, that's a really strange one. Okay, well, unfortunately for me, it is not a limiter removal, so I will try and get in with the Sidra.
I'm going to Saku the Sidra.
Saku, your own Sidra.
Yes.
All right. Well, this has been a pretty productive turn for me. I drew a card. I did 69 million damage to your life points. I called a reasoning correctly. I mean, is there anything that the combined might of our troops can't do? Okay, Kona brother, it is now your turn. Good luck outing my unbreakable board that draws me 2 cards if you dark hole. Oh, shit. All right, this changes a lot. So now that I know you're on 6-am, you're playing 4s. You've got Eru and maybe the light one, but that's a 1-of. I know you're playing 3 of the 3 that destroys set spell traps. That has to be in here. Grandmaster's crazy, and you're on Sidra 2, so 5 isn't a terrible pick anymore.
I was going to say 5 actually is pretty decent in this.
And then Great Shogun Shion is, of course, Great Shogun Shion. So, hilariously, I think I am the most beat up if you pull a vanilla 6 Samurai off. Because all the 6 Samurai monsters' effects require another 6 Samurai on the field. So
Correct.
If you summon a Sidra, what do I care? I've got 15 cards in hand. You know, if you summon a Great Shogun Shion, that guy's not a 6-Sam.
Correct.
So I'm thinking I'm actually going to pick 3 here.
Okay.
Oh, 5 was the pick. This was the contingency plan. It was possible you hit Cyber Dragon, but I don't really know what Sidra does on this board, except, you know, draws me a card.
Right, and it's still, like, not terrible for you in either situation. I will just run out a Zanji.
Zanji was the card in hand, sure.
And I will lose to Mirror Force.
Oh, God, I wish. Okay, I am going to Sakuretsu the Zanji, just because I would prefer you to have as little 6-Sams on your side of the field as possible.
Okay, we'll try to hit him with this one.
Yeah, that's fine. I'll take the 17.
17.
And I'll draw myself a card.
Okay. So we'll go to main 2. I'm probably dead here because you've drawn 5 cards at this point. Is there anything I can do to, like, not die?
You can re-record your wheel segment and spin a different deck.
That would probably be the smartest thing I could do. And with the power of video editing, I could do that. However, I thought this would be very funny. And it has been very funny thus far. So with that said, I'm just going to set 1 and pass a turn.
Okay, I'll draw for turn. Ooh, that's a weird one. So I've got good news and bad news, Alex.
Okay.
The good news is that you are not technically dead.
Technically. Okay. Now, the bad news
Well, first I'm going to start with the effect of my good old card trooper, the last of his kind, dying robot in the embers of a destroyed universe. There's the pot of avarice right on time. Okay, and now, how lucky do you feel?
Well, I mean, as the show's protagonist, I feel pretty lucky. So if there's any way for me to get out of this, I will take it at this point.
Let's see just how lucky you are. I am going to normal summon Snipe Hunter.
Fuck off. Fuck off. Okay.
With Cryo, I'll activate the effect. I've got 4 shots at this. First up, I'm pitching this machine duplication targeting your Cyber Dragon.
That is fine.
Okay, come on.
Oh,
and this is why! Holy shit. All right. God.
There's no way you don't go all in on this.
No, I'm going all in, baby. I'm going all in.
The probability is that you should hit this. There's like almost a 0% chance this will not work.
All right, if you have nothing at resolution, I am going to activate it again.
I have nothing at resolution.
Okay. You have got to be fucking with me. You have got to be fucking with me. Okay. No big deal. No big deal. If you have nothing at resolution, I will be activating it again.
You're fine.
Oh, thank God. All right, get that card out of here. And I will activate Snipe Hunter again. Do you have a response?
What are you targeting?
Does not target. Wait, yes, it does. I'm in this
Since
one.
when? Like, what are you talking about?
What do you mean, what am I targeting? There's one card on the field.
I'm conceding. I don't want you to see the set card. So
that was almost really, really horrifying.
Joseph, I mean, what can I say? I brought this upon myself. I incurred the wrath of the Troop Dupe Scoop for the first time, and this won't be the only time I think we'll be seeing this for the future's sake. But yeah, this isn't going exactly. I was hoping there'd be at least some gameplay here. That hasn't really been the case. So
we got 2 games, buddy. There's a lot of time. I will say
there is a game too.
This was a Worlds format that was dominated by a ton of different decks, a ton of different strategies. It is nice to see them represented instead of just monarchs beating into each other. And let's be real, we're gonna have a lot more time with Troop Dupe Scoop and a lot more time with monarchs in the future. Let's just enjoy the jankiness that was the decks from this format.
I'm going to normal summon a Eero, set 1 and pass.
And I'm going to enjoy it a little more than you, I think.
I bet you are. I bet you are.
Oh, God. I could just do so much here. Jesus. All right. We're going to begin with a Cyber Dragon.
Sure.
Pretty sick rip off the top, huh, buddy?
Yeah, it's pretty good.
Can I kill you this turn?
Don't. Probably.
I'm going to go for a brain control, targeting your Eero.
Sure. It's fine.
Anything on res?
Nope.
All right. Jinzo time, baby.
Yep.
So
that's a card.
In looking at the decks, I noticed that the 6-Sam deck is mostly aided by really powerful trap cards like Bottomless, Sakuretsu Armor, and the like, and wouldn't you know it, my deck has a plan for trap card decks.
What a shocker. I'll take it all.
You might say it's an Android Psychic Shocker. In main phase 2, I'll set 1 and you're good to go.
I'll just MST it. Let's just get it out of here.
Well, it is another card that nullifies trap cards.
Oh, fantastic. All right, I'll draw. Oh, Jinzo is so good. How did anyone play this prior to the actual good support?
It's
like,
bad,
I'm just
right?
staring
It's
at my
so
hand
bad.
right now. I'm staring at this hand and just thinking, I don't know how I'm getting out of this at all.
So, a lot of people don't know this, but back in the day, secret rares were just a little bit thicker than normal cards. That's why you could scale packs at Walmart if you were extremely scummy and pull nuts. So, maybe the person who played this deck had the My Valentine senses and could, using their shuffling prowess, put Grandmaster on the top of their deck. I don't know. I'm just grasping at straws, buddy. Your guess is as good as mine. This shit does not look playable.
I'll bring out a Cyber Dragon. I'll crash our Sidras.
No
and
problem.
I'll go to main 2. I'll set a monster, and I will pass the turn.
All right, draw, stand by main. Well, K Kona, brother, let's try this shit again. Card Trooper. I am gonna go for 3 if you'll allow it.
That's fine.
Nothing sexy.
All right.
Nothing sexy at all. These Royal Decrees just sitting in my graveyard. Much preferable to the alternative with a Jinzo on the field. I will attack into your set card with my Card Trooper. I'm trying to think if there's a 2000 punish.
There is not. It's another ear.
Oh my gosh, buddy, I'm so sorry. APS to the face, and go ahead.
There's a specific card that I know that will get me out of this, and boy, is that not it. All right, well, we'll go to main 1 here. I'm going to Warrior Returning Alive my Eero.
Oh, man. Yeah.
It's one of these hands. It's one of these hands. I'm going to normal summon the Eru. I'm going to hit the card trooper because that's basically all I can do at this point.
I'll thankfully take 13 and draw a card.
I bet you will. Draw your card, main 2. I'm at 400 life after this attack hits, so be my guest. End it.
Wow. That's a pretty good rip, buddy. I'm going to normal summon a Cyber
Any monster does it. Any monster does it. So
this one even plays around book. All right, let's go.
Yep. That's all she wrote. Yep.
Fantastic deck, wonderful games. I think the pair of us really learned a lot today, and what we learned is that to the individual who brought Six Samurai and top-aided the Canadian WCQ, you are stronger than man, machine, or god. I have no idea how you did it.
I don't either. Now, the fans did say they wanted us to do 3 games regardless of the outcome now, so I say we go to the game 3, we give them what they want, and we'll see what happens.
Yeah, you know, I will say this is pretty much exactly the Rat Box game from your perspective.
Pretty much. I would say it's almost to a T exactly how this went. So let's see what happens.
All right. Can you win a single game against me? Let's find out. I think there are some hands that pop off pretty powerfully. Oh my god.
And this is not one of them.
Oh, mine's looking pretty poggers, buddy.
Oh, Christ. This is miserable. This is so bad. Oh my god. All right. I'm going to set, and fire Swords of Revealing Light. Go ahead.
Oh, I'm so sorry. All right, I'll draw for turn. Anything in standby.
No. And maybe I was supposed to go second with this the entire time, and I'm just like 2 IQ and didn't put that together, but...
So... individuals in the comments, if we don't get at least one image macro of Cimo, like, extremely frustrated looking at some Six Sams, you know, you have all failed. Speaking of extreme frustration, I'm going to start with a Snipe Hunter.
That's fine.
We're going to try it. I'm going to pitch a Brain Control, and we're going to target your
Pretty
set
dead right
monster.
Now. Okay, sure.
Oh, you got it.
Here we go again. Would you like to go again, sir?
You know, I don't know if I do. Yeah, we'll do exactly one more. Same target.
Okay. Now, this is where you roll the 6.
You've got to be fucking with me! Oh my god! I can't.
Joseph, you have 3 more cards in hand.
I can't do it again. My hand is too good. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, Snipe. We're not doing it. I'm setting 1. I'm passing, and you're putting a counter on swords, buddy.
Yes, sir. I will draw.
All right, so these guys get better when you have multiples, so I'm going to see if I can get those multiples out of your hand right now.
Yes.
Woo!
Well, there's multiples, but not of the card you're thinking.
I will be taking the Ero. Wow, double Sidra. That's pretty powerful if I was the only one who controlled a monster.
Yeah, it would be nice, wouldn't it? All right, let's get these out of here. All right, I'm going to start by setting a card.
Yep.
I'm going to flip up Morphing Jar.
Well, now I don't feel so bad about discarding my entire hand to Snipe Hunter.
Yeah, I mean, you're not going to have it after this, but my hand was just doing absolutely nothing.
I mean,
so
mine
I
was nuts. It was Trooper Snatch.
That's pretty good. It's pretty good.
Whoa! This one's all right, too.
Okay.
Every hand. This is just... It feels like a GOAT deck. Every single combination of 5 cards in this deck is, like, game-winningly strong.
And every single combination of 5 cards I open, I just, like, want to cry because I don't know how anyone could feasibly play this and think that this is a good deck. Okay.
Like, I minused myself by 2 on Snipe Hunter and still had Snatch Card Trooper. Every 5 has looked game-winning. You have yet to draw an opener where you haven't gone, fuck me.
Yep. That's pretty much exactly how this has gone. I am going to... Well, you know I set this. I'm just going to smash Snipe
Smash
Hunter.
the Snipe all you want. You better kill me right now, buddy.
Yeah, that's not happening. I'll summon Eru, and I did shuffle because it wasn't the top card that I drew. I'll hit you for 2,400.
You got it.
I'll set a card, and over to you.
All right, draw for turn. Anything in standby?
That has been the extent of this game. Nope, you're good.
Wow. Storm.
Yep, this game's probably over. Okay. There goes my ring and my pulling the rug main deck for your 0 targets in your machine aggro deck.
Okay, see, it's not that bad. Sidra,
Card Trooper, machine duplication. I know that this...
God,
oh, wow,
great.
setting.
That would be so cool.
All right, so I'll take 4 here.
Second main, I'm going to set 2, and you are good to go.
I'll draw. I got another dust shoot.
Oh, no. God, I wish.
Okay.
This deck was on 3 dust shoot main, and God, I love it.
I will smash the Sidra.
No, not the Sidra.
I will normal another Eero.
That's your third hero?
Technically, it's the second because you shuffled the first one back into the deck.
Indeed.
So we're only on the second played Iru. I'll hit in. It's probably a Dekoichi or a Phoenix, I imagine.
It is a Dekoichi. Every single card this deck draws another card.
It's fantastic. It's fantastic. I guess I'll hit in with the jar. Like, why not?
Yeah, sure.
Got nothing to lose at this point. Main phase 2, go ahead.
Oh, wow. Okay, so we're going to start it off with a confiscation.
Sure. Take your pick. They're both equally terrible.
I'm taking the Warrior because you're never getting the Shogun Shiin online.
Correct. That is 100% true. The Shogun Shiin is never resolving.
All right, we're activating Call of the Haunted here, targeting our copy of Card Trooper.
Okay.
We're going to fire the Card Trooper.
Okay.
And then we will Pot of Avarice.
Sure. Let's draw more cards.
Yeah. We're up, what, 15 now? Started the game
I think so.
minusing 15 million with the Snipe Hunter. We're going to keep that Phoenix in the grave.
Sure.
All right.
And this is where you draw the machine dupe, and it's game over.
That is what's going on here.
Fuck me.
All right, it's not that bad. Machine dupe can only summon from deck, and the other drawn card is a Card Trooper.
Okay. Well, at least there's only one.
Oh, at least.
And this is where you drew the Overload fusion too to go into Chimera Tech. Oh,
with
okay.
my
We're
0
not
card
that good at the
extra. All right, take your 2.
Okay, so I'll take 2, and then I'll take what is this, 12? Alrighty.
Okay. You can go.
At least I got you under the 4,000 threshold at this point. I'll bring out Sidra.
How's your Shogun Shiin looking? Sidra's fine.
It's terrible. It's so bad. I'm gonna hit you for 17.
I lied. Sidra's not fine at all.
Okay, so ring. We both take 21. I am basically dead to anything. So show me a monster, and that's it.
Gotcha, buddy. The third Card Trooper.
The third trooper that I already knew you had. Yep, okay. Well, this was a fun experience, and now, like a true samurai, I am going to fall on my own sword and kill myself.
What a terrible deck! I'm so sorry you rolled this. I thought about playing it. I was like, if I roll 6 Sam, I'm playing it 100%, and I am real glad I did not. Holy guacamole. Oh, jeez.
Okay, that's enough dramatic effect. Yeah, this deck sucks. I don't know why I first picked this. I had a reroll. Here's my logic. We have played almost every single deck on the wheel up until this point, and when I saw that we got this as my first spin, I thought, okay, it got a top. It also had multiple tops because you and I had seen in some of the other deck lists that we were looking at that it topped before. It wasn't like this was its first top.
And for what it's worth, in the metagame article about the Canadian WCQ, Jason Grabber-Mayer says everywhere people are playing 6 Sam. Like, it was a common deck, but...
And also, for what it's worth, this build looked way better than the one that we could have played like a couple episodes ago.
Oh, yeah.
And it was still terrible. So I figured, okay, if I end up winning with this, it's fantastic. But I wasn't going into this the most confident because I would say every single other deck on there, even Burned, was probably going to be more likely to do something than this deck. And it did not disappoint.
You want to mill it out? I'm interested in seeing what this deck is playing.
Yeah, I'll just mill the whole deck for you to take a look at. It's fine. Like, it was also very heavily teched against Monarch specifically. So had I maybe had different traps that weren't specifically tailored towards, stuff like pulling the rug and the like and things like that, then maybe it would have been a little bit better for this specific matchup because I don't think you have a single card that pulling the rug works against. Pulling the rug also doesn't work against like using Prio because that doesn't count even though it's like technically like on summon. So that doesn't work. That's like that would have been cool if it did, but nope. It was fine. I was expecting it to be like a little bit more explosive. I guess you just need to get the right combination of cards, but then you could just say that for every deck, right? If I had opened at least a 6 Sam and a Grandmaster, then maybe we could have started to get things going, right? I could have gone like Sidra, maybe played like a Yaichi, get a Grandmaster, pop one of your back row. I could hit in for like 4,200. That would have been pretty good, but it just never came to fruition because you needed to have such a specific combination of cards. None of these cards like draw you more cards like compared to your deck where I would say almost every main deck monster sans Cyber Dragon draws you a card if it's sent to the graveyard. So there's like such little draw power aside from like Morphing Jar specifically. So it's just an aggro deck, but it's a very bad aggro deck. And I remember playing this as a kid. And like you said, a lot of people did play this as a kid because it was cool. The idea of having monsters on the field that give each other effects to be able to synergize and then they get more powerful. The concept is really cool. And once we see in the future with future 6-Sam support, when we get to the Synchro era and the like, that just takes the deck to 11. But that's like how the deck wanted to be all along, right? It just hasn't gotten to this point yet. And this is the best variant that it's going to be until we get to that actual support.
So a couple of things about 6-Sam. First, I think you're spot on in your analysis. I mean, this is just kind of a middling deck for the time being. It bricks the same way a lot of decks like Ritual Beast brick nowadays. You have to draw like a critical mass of 6-Sams, but they also have to be very specific 6-Sams. It high rolls like no other, but its low rolls are just miserable. I remember trying to force 6-Sam in the Sealed series that I'm doing, and we were like jamming Arrival, or like Arrival Appears. Like there weren't good ways to get cards from your hand onto the field at this point in Yu-Gi-Oh! And none of the 6-Sams, with the exception of Grandmaster, special themselves from the hand yet. So what are you gonna do? And the answer is lose. Second is, I remember this deck being very powerful, and I remember it very fondly because I was playing locals as a literal child in 2007. I was, 13 years old, and I was jamming my Dark World deck into 6-Sam and either having trouble or going even. In retrospect, that probably should have tipped me off that this wasn't playable, that Dark Worlds was going even with it, but yeah, this is for a lot of people a fond childhood memory. But like a lot of decks like early Gadgets and Ratbox, those fond childhood memories didn't really translate to top 8s. They didn't translate to a lot of competitive success. And while 6-Sam was around, very common deck that people did have sideboard options for, game plans for, and respect for, its results are pretty piss poor compared to something like Machine Aggro, any Monarch deck. Even Burn ends up topping a little bit more than this one.
Right. And so to your first point about how none of the 6-Sams other than Grandmaster special summon each other, that's where the reasoning comes in, right? Like that's your extender, and it's a very bad extender at that.
Yeah.
Exactly. And so the thing is, look at the support that comes later on. Elder, Asceticism, Kizon, Kageki. All 4 of the new 6-Sam cards all special summon another 6-Sam or special summon themselves. So
they knew.
Shows how they knew that was the core issue, because that's what 6-Sam wants to do. It wants to swarm the field, it wants to be aggressive, and it just wants to kill super quickly. Also control the board with stuff like Shien, and then soon to be legendary 6-Eye Shien, the Synchro. But then to your latter point about how this is just a fond childhood memory, if you take the nostalgia glasses off, I think that's why so many people might think that this deck used to be good. It's because unless you were playing at top tier competitive play, unless you were playing at an SJC level event, most people were probably just rocking 6-Sams at locals because the deck was actually rather inexpensive. Grandmaster, while it was a secret rare, was actually the promo card for, I believe, Strike of Neos' sneak peek, or one of the sneak peeks. So it actually came in at super rare and was very easy to acquire. And so this deck was actually pretty inexpensive to build, because by this point, I think Cyber Dragon had also been reprinted, maybe in the tins. I don't remember for sure.
There was a
tin
print,
all the rest of the cards in here are common. And so aside from like maybe a couple other random cards here and there, like maybe some of your staples, but even the staples have been reprinted at common at this point as well. This was a super cheap deck. It's a pretty fun deck. I think a lot of kids, also like myself included, and probably you as well, love the artwork and the whole concept and design behind it. And so you'd go to locals and it would give you the misperception that the deck is actually better than it is, or compared to maybe playground Yu-Gi-Oh decks you would play against your friends, 6-Sam would probably be tearing those decks up because you were much more likely to keep your 6 Samurais on the field in the face of old playground Yu-Gi-Oh decks that weren't really playing as competitively hardcore as something such as Machine Aggro, as something such as DDT and the like. And so it's very fascinating looking at this deck in retrospect. I had a little bit higher hopes for this, but I came out of this completely just destroyed.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right. You know, the thing that made 6 Samurai so competitive at a locals level was if you normal summoned Zanji and pass, there was like a 90% chance your Zanji would stay on the field, you know? That's not necessarily true if you've got something like Card Troopers. But in terms of the Grandmaster stuff, I mean, kids these days, they don't understand. But what used to happen is that teenagers with money would enter a sneak peek like 15 or 16 times and just cash in on the promos sell the promos. Yeah, sell the promos for like maybe 90% of the cost of the entry to, you know, kids who just wanted this card and didn't necessarily want to have to deal with getting thrashed in a sealed environment. And then they'd plus off their pulls from the packs or the prizing from the sealed event. So there were a lot of these around, despite I think it was an actual secret in the pack proper.
Correct. Yes.
The other card that was high rarity in here, I think the only other one is Great Shogun Shien was an Ultra, but an Ultra is not super expensive, and I think you're playing, what, one Great Shogun Shien? Yeah, it was a card that if you only had 1 or 2 copies of it, who cares? It's win more. You were winning with Iroh. You know, these like laser samurai are the cool looking cards anyway. who actually cares if you only have 1 Great Shogun Shien? And I think that's a lot of kids' first memories of this deck.
Grandmaster was actually particularly interesting because it was one of the few sneak peek promos that was worth above what you could actually buy a sneak peek kit for. So this was back in the day when Upper Deck ran these events, and you didn't necessarily go to your local game store to get your sneak peeks like you do now. You would actually go to almost like a regional hall.
Yeah.
And so that's how the whole event was structured. So what they let you do is you could get your promo card, your 5 packs, and then you could just go again. And so you would pay $20 for that. Grandmaster was selling for about 25 to 30. So I remember I went and bought like 5 or 6 kits at the time because they let you, it was allowed. And I made like a couple bucks, you know, I pulled some decent cards and, you know, called it a day. And after that of specific sneak peek, Grandmaster promo price tanked significantly because it was kind of like at first release when stuff's hype. But it's just kind of a cool little piece of like the history of the game that's how sneak peeks used to be, you know, and people who've never really like experienced that before. I remember when sneak peeks, what they actually used to do is you had to build your 20 card deck out
from
of
your
the 5 packs that you got. Or what you could also do is if you didn't want to go that route, you could actually play in an advanced constructed tournament. And depending on where you placed in the Swiss, you actually got packs of the new set based on your standing. So the good players would do that because they had a better chance of getting more packs for the money. And the terrible players like me would just buy the packs and just get out.
I remember like really fond memories in growing up in Topeka, Kansas, traveling to a local hotel to play in like the Light of Destruction pre-release, going infinite off of selling copies of Guardian of Order and playing sealed Arcana Forces, and walking out of there with a fully built Arcana Force deck that I had tricked myself into thinking was tier 1 because it had done so well in sealed. I mean, really, obviously, you know, sneaks are still fun, and once COVID's over, I'm really excited to participate in them again, but it was a completely different experience back when UDE was running things. Not necessarily better or worse, but very different.
Yeah, and before we wrap this up, I think if anything, and a lot of people might be able to relate to this, if COVID has done anything good for Yu-Gi-Oh, it's almost reinvigorating people's love for older formats, I would say.
Oh, yeah.
And while GOAT was always the top dog, I think so many people, not just between you and I in the history of Yu-Gi-Oh, but several other content creators have really just fallen back in love with older formats, whether formats they used to play or formats that they've never played before but tried out, and realized that, wow, like older Yu-Gi-Oh is completely different and so much fun. And I feel like when you look at it compared to a game like Magic the Gathering, Yu-Gi-Oh was sort of missing that. And so Yu-Gi-Oh's almost had this sort of renaissance to a degree where people are now starting to realize like, wow, older Yu-Gi-Oh is a ton of fun and this is how the game used to be. And so by diving into that, I think for the foreseeable future, maybe we're going to see the dawn of all these different new just groups forming, like you're making with the Reaper format group and all these other different formats we have yet to even explore. Like, look, Joseph, we're just a 2007. We are still 14 years away from catching up to modern Yu-Gi-Oh! It
is very funny. Once COVID happened, everyone was like, well, if I'm just going to have to play online anyway, I'm going to try out formats that aren't Adamancipate or Eldritch. And what you got from it is like hack reinvigorating, like a plant synchro format.
Right.
You got things like Reaper format, us exploring through history of Yu-Gi-Oh! Even GOAT format has had an explosion in popularity of people over the pandemic pandemic going, well, hell, you know, if I'm gonna be playing Yu-Gi-Oh over the internet, I might as well try the greatest format of all time. And it's really just something. Before we wrap up, I do want to real quick talk about what's in this deck.
Oh, sure. Yeah, you have a deck too, don't you?
Yeah, right. And the reason we're not talking too much about this deck is you're going to see a lot of it. This is kind of the bones of Troop Dupe Scoop. Back before people figured out the best thing you could possibly be doing was trooping, duping, and scooping. But this list is exactly what it says on the tin. Every single card draws additional cards. The only card that loses you advantage is the Snipe Hunter, which is just kind of this all-around, you know, catch-all for cards that you can't destroy anyway. And God, I have to say, playing decks like this just feels so unfair. Like, playing against archetypes that aren't fully realized, where Konami wants you to be playing a critical mass of subpar cards because the payoff is so good, and you're playing a deck where every card replaces itself. Oh, it is just not close. And
it's just on a completely different level.
You saw it in this game. You're going to see it a lot more when Troop Dupe Scoop becomes more ubiquitous. But settle in, buddy. Gonna be a lot of this.
Yeah, it's gonna be a lot of this. I remember back to a few episodes ago where you said that there was an article where someone said, I don't remember that game, but it didn't require a lot of thinking.
Game
and
ended
I feel
quickly
like this
without
is
much
exactly
thinking.
what you just experienced.
Yep, I could have played Autopilot. I could have been the Edo Pro AI. The Duel Links auto responder could have done this one for me. This was rough.
I think the EDO Pro, YJO Pro AI could have beaten this deck no matter how hard I tried it. So,
oh gosh.
So guys, that's going to wrap it up for this episode of the history of Yu-Gi-Oh! Looks like I'll be stuck in the shirt of shame once more, but that's okay because neither one of us has ever won 3 in a row, which means I am destined to win the next episode. We have to shout out our patrons though. So big shout outs to Shadow1317, Sean Alling Jr., Tim00x3, Cameron Smith, Ika Iron Fang, Joshua Schlee, Pony Stark, Michael Dente, Ole, Dan the Man Hoban, Mystic Walk, Part 2, Synchro Guy, Showtagonist, Sylvia Wilds, Ian Musa, Dolly Wop, Dragonlord, Jarvis Martin, Logan Thomas, Peter Gregory, Thomas Nelson, Emil Cohn, Ian Taisho, Jordan Coons, Kelvin, Pure Ace, Jesse Wood, True Nerdgasm, Iron Bladesman, Benjamin Fuller, Brother Paul, Chris Hood, Damage Step, Kalut, Lumpy, Nehru Celeste, Shane Reese, David Liu, Rock3325, Henry Roaming, Cole T, Lane Rogers, Sky Rose, Garthox DOW, and Gayoko, Brett Havey, and Draconic. Thank you all so much for watching the video, and we will see you next time.